88.
Yeah, and Jack West presumably as well, because I noticed that all the pay slips have the Circle of Divine Unity, oblique Devra West and Jack West, which is a strange way of writing a title on a charity's...
well, he's got the company credit card or whatever, not a company, but he's got the credit card, one of the credit cards that gets used a lot, and he signs the checks. Puts his name on the checks, so...
So him and Cheryl O'Brien, I guess, would be the people in charge of the finances.
And he plays along with the whole game of beating people down and stuff, because one day when Kathleen and I had this falling out and Kathleen kind of lost it, he lied about what went down to Esther Michaels. And then Esther came and yelled at me for the whole thing, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I didn't do anything, why am I getting yelled at? And that's when I finally realized that I needed to pretend that I had surrendered in a way. And I said, oh yes, I am a victim, you're right, Esther, thank you for pointing that out to me. I've seen the light. And after that point, they got off my back.
89.
She needed, well, you know, Esther was trying to work on some wealthy people in Atlanta and bring in
Do you know their names?
No, I unfortunately I don't.
It's probably on the list of contacts.
No, these are people that are in the process of being worked on. Fresh meat. And in fact, well, you know, wherever the rich are, that's where Devra will go.
90.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, with all these people giving her money, the way she talks about them is just shocking. You know, she has no respect for them. Even Shirley and Lisa, her teachers, I mean, if they knew how Devra talked about them to Kathleen and I, no respect for them.
And Maya as well?
Oh, all of them. I mean, there's not one person that I think that Devra really likes.
No.
You know, I mean, she doesn't talk well about anybody.
No.
And she doesn't seem to respect people, her followers at all. She talks like, you know, they're idiots.
Well,
and she's calling them, and look how stupid they are.
Exactly.
To give me money.
Yes.
I mean, she'll laugh and say things like that. And I thought, God, you know, don't you realize what you're saying? I mean, I work for you. You think I'm going to respect you for being that way? I guess she did.
91.
If I were to ask you what is the most damning thing that she's done or is doing, and you can choose whatever perspective you like, whatever frame you want for that question. Let's say breaking the law, for instance. What would you be able to come up with something?
Well, I think there's so many things that she does that I don't really like, but I think this whole charade about Flathead Lake and the Eagle's Rest, or Shambhala as she calls it, I think that really makes me sick to my stomach, that she's pushing people to give her money to buy this $13 million property so that she can just live in the style that she wants to.
Sure.
And she sees herself as having all the spiritual leaders just meeting there, you know, and the extremes that she goes to promote that, to get money out of these people. It really makes me sick.
Do you think that she's an excellent con artist? Is that what it's...
I don't know if I'd say excellent. I mean, she didn't fool me, so and usually good con artists would fool people, but I guess she's fooling them, and that's all that counts. You know, she's fooling the people she wants to get the money out of.
92.
Well, this is what really makes me sick, is that she claims that she is channeling Christ's teachings, and I've seen it in emails and letters that she's written to her followers. She has said that if you don't believe me in what I'm telling you about Shambhala, because a lot of people questioned her about that move, they thought it was a bad idea.
Yes.
And she wrote them and said, you know, if you question me, you question Christ. If you don't believe me, you don't believe Christ. And to me, that is really low.
Extreme.
Very extreme.
93.
To me, Devra, when she came back from Israel, she kept saying she hadn't slept and she hadn't been sleeping, and she seemed very manic to me, and I have experience with manic depression, but we were standing in the kitchen before she had to go out into her session, and she leans over and grabs my necklace in her fingers, and she had this very weird look on her face, and she said, "I love beautiful things." And it just creeped me out. It was the way she said it, how she said it. She said that before, but it was just in that moment, it really made me sick, because I think it's all about her having beautiful things.
Yes.
And that's what it's really about. And also, I think she does have a mental illness, and that's why she thinks she is this goddess that she thinks she is. And she needs help.
Yes. Yeah, agreed.
But yet, then there's this other side that is just a con artist.
Sure.
And very much aware of what she's doing.
And yes, she does need help, but first of all, I think she needs taking off the street so she can't damage any other people.
She's just taking money from people and demanding it. And demanding that they show up at these events and pay to stay at the Quest House, and and they do it.
94.
Yeah.
So what would you, if you had your wish now regarding Devra West, what would be the solution?
I think she should be shut down. She shouldn't. She's basically stealing people's money and using it in her personal way, not for any charities. I don't see any. When she hired me, she kept telling me, bragging about how she was helping this monastery over in Tibet and this children's school here in Victor, and this and that, and I never saw any of that. I never saw any charity she was doing for anybody but herself.
Yeah, that was my experience as I got to know her well. And then one day she just came out of the blue and said, "The masters have told me I've got to have a third of everything coming into this place, a third of the contributions, everything."
Oh, I would think she would be taking more than that.
Sure. The beginning.
Yeah, she'll take as much as she can.
95.
She's constantly shopping. Before she went to Israel, she was late for the plane, and then they wouldn't let her board it because she was buying a $2,000 necklace in the airport.
Oh, and
when we told her, when supposedly Cheryl told her there wasn't that much money.
In Divine Unity's account.
Right. But she put it on the credit card.
Wow.
Why she needed that $2,000 necklace. And then because she was late for the plane, she had to reschedule everything to get her to Israel, and which was perfect because she ended up screwing herself and showing up a day late and almost didn't make that important bank appointment meeting. And she had to go shop for clothes because, of course, her luggage never made it.
Oh, fantastic.
And I went through a lot of pain to make that flight, all those schedules and all those, the way she wanted it, and then she blew it all for a necklace.
96.
Were you in any way involved with Cindy leaving? I know she ended up kind of resigning, giving her mother as an excuse.
Yeah.
But I understand from the statement she gave me, it was intolerable.
It was. And she was looking for work. That's one of the things we had our secret, conversations about, was we were both looking for work quietly, desperately trying to get out of there. And it just got to a point where once I had deflected them by saying, "I surrender, you're right, I'm a victim," I told Cindy to do the same thing. And so she started to, I said, you need to go back now and make excuses for the way you were, just to try to reflect.
Play the game.
Yeah, you've got to play the game until we get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, if we get them off our back, at least we can go to work each day and not want to throw up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, we were quietly planning and plotting and trying to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
97.
We got paid the day before the event started, registration.
Right.
So I guess Cheryl was counting that Kathleen and I would deposit our check.
Mm-hmm.
And Kathleen actually ran to the bank in Hamilton and was told there were no funds to pay her check. So they told her to go to the main branch for Divine Unity, which was in Victor.
Mm-hmm. And
she called me on the cell phone after one of them, I guess the bank manager, approved the payment even though there wasn't any funds.
Sure.
So Kathleen called me and I ran over to Victor and I got them to pay my check too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God. And we called Cindy and said, Cindy, you got to get out of there and go cash your check.
Mm-hmm.
But she couldn't leave because we weren't there. And that afternoon, Kathleen and I just went for lunch and we were trying to figure out what the hell are we going to do, you know. And so...
Kathleen got out, didn't she?
Well, Cindy called in the next morning after she got her check and said that her husband's mother had taken a turn for the worse and she wouldn't be coming back.
98.
And then a few days later, Kathleen was fired.
Right.
Because she wouldn't bend to Devra's demands that she'd be there on Monday when Devra wasn't even there on...
No, and she'd asked for time off apparently, and it had been granted.
Yeah.
And at the last minute they wanted to rescind that.
And they did exactly the same thing on the first event to Kathleen.
Sure.
And so that's why Kathleen stood her ground, and I don't think they planned on Kathleen not bending.
Right. So in effect she was... treated very badly.
Yeah.
She was fired for no reason really, for their
because Kathleen
deceit.
Ran that house like you wouldn't believe. I mean, she was the best thing.
Yeah.
She really was great
so
at her job.
It was wrongful dismissal in every sense of the word.
Well, because Kathleen had challenged Devra and said, listen, I'm not asking anymore. I'm
taking the time.
I am taking this time. I've been telling you I was taking this time.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to take Monday off.
And she had the paperwork saying that the time off was granted. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, no, Devra was doing her usual power trip and control thing.
Okay.
So, and then after Kathleen and Cindy left, it was miserable. And I could only last another week until luckily they went up to Flathead Lake. And they weren't around, and then on Friday I just left Esther a resignation letter in her bedroom.
99.
To me, it's a con.
Yes, it is a con.
And the more that Shirley and Lisa and Tamayo and all of these people believe that this is going to happen, the more they're going to give money.
Sure. And I bet this money is being given unconditionally. In other words, with no hope of getting it back if it doesn't go ahead, it's just given to...
I guess so.
Yeah, and that's how she does it from year to year.
I mean, she had to do the same thing for the lodge up here.
She did, and she was doing it while I was there, and then that fizzled out and she needed a new enterprise.
Yeah, to generate money again.
Okay.
100.
Esther Michaels... you were kind enough to share that phone message that was recorded on your cell phone. I understand that she's called you once or twice since to try and hook you back in.
Yes.
And you're basically playing the game until you get your paycheck, because I understand you're owed $700 or $800.
Yeah.
And hope to get it at the end of this week?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Which is the normal payday, and that's when they have to pay me. I am holding a receipt for Devra's dry cleaning. She's got about 15 items of clothes in the dry cleaners, and it's all in my name. And I'm holding on to that, and they know it until I get my check. She's not going to get her dry cleaning.
Okay.